I'm answering questions on determine domain and range and represent domain and range using inequalities. Identify the domain and range as continuous or discrete and justify your reasoning. Now, in order to find domain, we know by definition that domain is all possible x values. All possible x values. And on a graph, we will scan from left to right. And for range, the basic definition is all possible y values. And on the graph, we'll scan from the bottom to the top. Now, the question also asks us to represent domain and range using inequalities. So that means that I'm also going to be using less than, less or equal to, greater than, greater or equal to as applicable. So looking at this specific question, it also asks me to determine whether the function is continuous or discrete. Now, looking from -5 and scanning all the way up to 7, you realize the graph is continuous between these 2 points for the domain. So that means this function is continuous. For my domain, I am going to be looking at -5 all the way up to 7. Now, the open circle here means that is the boundary point, but -5 itself is not actually part of it. So I will have less than -5 less than x, and then less or equal to 7. And I'm using that because we have display shaded, which means it's inclusive, and that will be my domain for this particular question. For the range, I have to scan from the bottom to the top. So checking from here all the possible y values, it will start from this place all the way up to that place. And the number here is the number between -2 and -4, which is -3. Now, because that spot is open, we use less than, so less y, and that spot is closed, we use less or equal to 5. Okay. So that will be all for question 1. Question 2 asks to calculate rate of change or slope. So 2 ways by which I can do this. I can use the slope formula, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And I'm going to allocate x2 to -5, y1 to y2 to -5 and y1 to 7, and then x1 to -5 and then x2 to +1. So I have -5 minus 7 and then 1 minus -5. -5 minus 7 is -12, and then 1 minus -5 is 6. So I'm getting -2 as my slope. Now, that is not the only way by which I can find the slope. I can also use the statistics function of the graphing calculator to find my slope as well. So I may go to start, select edit, and I'm going to clear the numbers that are here and clear the numbers that are there. And I'm going to enter in all the numbers I see: -5, 1, 4, 7, 9. And I'm also going to the side, enter in 7, -5, -11, -17, and -21. And I'm going to start again, select calculate, and scroll all the way down to 4, which gives me the linear regression. That will calculate for me the slope and the y-intercept. So go all the way down, calculate, and I'm getting my slope to be -2, and that should be for my slope. The next problem is a vertical line, a horizontal line, and all horizontal lines have a slope of 0. If I wanted to extend and ask what the equation might be, then it will simply be y is equals to the line is going through +3, so y is equals to 3. So horizontal line, slope is 0, and the equation is y is equals to 3. We will move on to the next questions. On this page we have a vertical line, and every vertical line has slope that is undefined. And the equation of this is x is equals to whatever number is going, the vertical line is going through on the x-axis, which is -5. The next one, I could use the slope formula, or I could just use rise over run, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So for most part, I may want to use any 2 points. So maybe I let you use this point and then that point. So my first coordinate is -2, 2, and then the next one is 0, 0. Or if I do rise over run, I can draw a line here and a line there. So I can count 1, 2, which is 2, and then on my run, which is 1 and 2. Now, looking at the direction of the graph, I know for a fact that it's negative. So -2 divided by +2 will give us -1. Using the other method, which is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, I'll go ahead and name the coordinates. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 minus y1 is going to end up being 0 minus 2, and then x2 minus x1 is going to be that. So we have -2 over +2, that ends up giving us -1. We are also asked to find the slopes when you have equations. So looking at this, the first one here, it is in the form y is equals to mx plus b, where m is the slope. So clearly we know that the slope is -2.5. And then for the second question, we also do know by this point slope formula which also will give me the slope to be -1/3. for the third one, I may need a few steps. So I'm first going to write it here. 4x minus 5y is equals to 15. And in order to answer that, I will first subtract 4x minus 4x. Remember, my goal is to isolate y, or make y the subject. So subtract 4x minus 4x, that gives me a 0. And I'm going to write negative 5y is equals to negative 4x plus 15. You divide both sides by negative 5. And when you check, negative 5 will cancel out negative 5. That gives you y. The negative divides a negative, it gives you a positive. And then 15 divided by negative 5 will give us negative 3. So my slope is equals to 4/5.